They said I was the curse of the Silverpine Pack, a mute omega who brought shame to every ceremony I attended. But when Kaelen Ashford, heir to the most powerful alpha bloodline in the Northern Territories, stepped forward to defend me against his own father's mockery, everything I believed about my worthlessness shattered in a single, impossible moment. The Harvest Moon ceremony is supposed to be a celebration. For everyone else in the pack. Perhaps it is. For me, Lyralei, it's an annual reminder that I am what the elders call moon-touched, their polite way of saying broken. I press myself against the carved wooden pillar at the edge of the ceremonial grounds, watching the other Omegas practice their blessing songs for tonight's ritual. Their voices rise and fall in perfect harmony, a sound like silver bells that makes the very air shimmer with power. The blessing songs are sacred. They bind our pack's magic, strengthen our borders, and honor the moon goddess who gave us our wolf spirits. And I, who haven't spoken a single word since the Night Raiders killed my younger brother 7 summers ago, can contribute nothing. Look who's here. A familiar, cutting voice slices through the morning preparation. The silent stain. Vera Blackmore glides toward me, flanked by her usual followers. She's everything an Omega should be: graceful, vocal, her blessing song so powerful it can make flowers bloom in winter. Her father sits on the Alpha's council. Mine died protecting a supply wagon. I don't know why you even attend, Vera continues, loud enough for everyone to hear. The other Omegas stop their practice, turning to watch, proffer. It's not like you can perform the blessing. You just stand there like a dead tree while the rest of us do the actual work, kind of slave. I keep my eyes down, counting the knots in the wooden floor. 17, 18. If I make myself small enough, maybe she'll grow bored. My father says the Alpha Prime is considering a new law, Vera announces, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Defective Omegas, who can't contribute to ceremonies, will be relocated to the outer settlements, where they belong. My chest tightens. The outer settlements are where the packless go-wolves who've been exiled, or those too weak to hold territory. It's a death sentence by another name. Maybe that's for the best, another Omega adds. The pack's magic has been weaker ever since she started attending ceremonies. My grandmother says mute Omegas are cursed by the moon herself. I want to scream that it's not true, that I didn't choose this silence, that it chose me the night I watched my 6-year-old brother call my name before the raiders' arrows found him. The healer said the trauma locked my voice away, somewhere so deep that even my wolf can't find it. But I can't defend myself. I can only endure. The ceremonial grounds of Silverpine are ancient, carved from the massive roots of the great heartwood tree that stands at our territory's center. Tonight, under the harvest moon, all the packs of the Northern Territories will gather here. The Alpha Prime will announce new alliances, new laws, and most importantly, his heir will choose their first honor guard from among the Omegas. It's the highest position an Omega can achieve: protector and advisor to the future Alpha Prime. And I will stand in the shadows, as always, silent and ashamed. The night my voice died lives in my bones like winter frost that never thaws. I was 11 summers old, left to watch my younger brother Tam, while our parents attended a border meeting. Tam was 6, all wild energy and endless questions, his blessing song already showing promise despite his youth. The elders said he'd be powerful one day. His voice could already make wildflowers turn toward him, like he was the sun itself. The raiders came during the new moon, when our wolves are weakest. Rogues from beyond the territories, packless and desperate. They wanted supplies, weapons, anything valuable from our settlement's storage. I grabbed Tam and hid us in the root cellar beneath our cottage, the way Mother had taught me. But Tam was so young. He didn't understand why we had to be quiet. Lyra, he'd whispered, tugging at my sleeve. I'm scared. I held him tighter, pressing his face into my shoulder. But when we heard our cottage door splinter above us, he panicked. He broke free from my arms and ran up the cellar steps, calling for our parents who were miles away. Mama, Papa! I ran after him, but I was too slow. The raiders had crossbows, illegal weapons, poisoned with wolfsbane. The arrow took him in the chest before I could reach him. He looked at me, those bright amber eyes wide with surprise, and called my name one last time. Lyra? The sound that tore from my throat wasn't human or wolf. It was something else entirely, raw grief given voice. They say my scream shattered every window in the cottage, that it made the raiders' ears bleed, that it called every wolf within 5 miles to our location. But when the pack arrived, when they drove the raiders off and found me holding Tam's cooling body, I couldn't make another sound. The healers tried everything: herbs, moonstone healing, even bringing in a specialist from the Eastern Territories who worked with trauma. My vocal cords were perfect, unmarred. The block was entirely in my mind, a wall my consciousness had built to prevent that terrible sound from ever escaping again. My parents never blamed me, but I saw the truth in their eyes. If I'd been stronger, faster, braver, if I'd kept Tam quiet or fought the raiders myself, he'd still be alive. His death was my failure, and my silence was my penance. They died 2 winters later in a border skirmish, leaving me truly alone. The pack raised me out of duty, not love. I learned healing from Elder Mirren, one of the few who showed me kindness. Your voice may be gone, child, she'd say, teaching me to identify herbs by touch and smell. But your hands can still speak. Healing is its own language. I became proficient, exceptional, even at treating wounds, setting bones, creating poultices. My remedies were sought after, though always with averted eyes and quick exchanges, as if my muteness might be contagious. I could save lives with my hands, but I couldn't sing the blessing songs that held our pack's very essence together. The other Omegas my age found their voices growing stronger each year, their blessing songs weaving into the pack's magic like golden threads. Mine remained trapped behind walls of guilt and grief, a constant reminder that I'd failed the one person who needed me most. The harvest moon rises like a swollen orange above the heartwood tree, and the ceremony begins with all the pageantry our pack can muster. Hundreds of wolves from across the Northern Territories fill the sacred grounds, their excitement charging the air with an almost visible energy. I stand at the very back, behind even the youngest Omegas who've just come of age. Alpha Prime Theron. Ashford takes the raised platform, his presence commanding absolute silence. He's massive even in human form, his dark hair silvered at the temples, his eyes the color of storm clouds. Beside him stands his son, Kaelen, the heir whose reputation precedes him like thunder before lightning. I've seen Kaelen from afar over the years. He's impossible to miss. Where his father is all cold authority, Kaelen burns with a different kind of intensity. They say he's ruthless in battle but fair in judgment, that he's never lost a challenge but never fought without cause. At 25 summers, he should have chosen an honor guard years ago, but he's refused every candidate presented to him. Tonight, Alpha Prime Theron announces, his voice carrying across the grounds without effort, we celebrate not just the harvest, but the future of our united packs. My heir will finally choose his first honor guard from among our Omegas. A ripple of excitement passes through the Omega contingent. This is what they've been training for. why they've spent years perfecting their blessing songs. The honor guard position means status, protection, a direct connection to power. Each Omega will perform their blessing song, the Alpha Prime continues. Let their voices show their worth to the pack. One by one, they go forward. Each performance more spectacular than the last. Vera's song makes ice crystals form in the air, each one perfect and glittering in the moonlight. Another Omega's voice causes the heartwood's leaves to glow with soft bioluminescence. The display is magnificent, a showcase of everything our pack values. And then there's silence. Everyone has sung except me. I remain frozen in place as hundreds of eyes turn in my direction. The weight of their collective gaze feels like drowning in mud. Someone laughs sharp and mocking. Others join in. A wave of cruel amusement at the mute Omega, who dares to exist in sacred space. Well, Alpha Prime. Theron's voice cuts through the laughter like a blade. Will the last Omega perform, or does she intend to waste our time? Vera steps forward, ever eager to twist the knife. She can't, Alpha Prime. She's moon-cursed, mute. She hasn't spoken since she let her brother die. Someone else supplies, loud enough for everyone to hear. The laughter grows louder. My face burns with humiliation so intense it feels like my skin might peel away. I turn to flee, to run from this mockery, but my movement catches someone's attention. Kaelen Ashford is staring at me. Not with amusement or pity, but with something else entirely. His eyes, a striking silver blue like winter moonlight, hold mine across the distance. There's a furrow between his brows, not of confusion but of recognition. As if he's solving a puzzle others don't even know exists. I wrench my gaze away and stumble back, my hands shaking. I need to leave, now. But Theron's voice stops me cold. A defective Omega who brings shame to our ceremonies. Perhaps the outer settlements would be more appropriate for... No. The single word falls into the ceremonial grounds like a stone into still water, sending ripples of shock through the crowd. Kaelen Ashford steps forward from his place beside his father. His movement, fluid and purposeful. The crowd parts before him like grass before wind. His no still hangs in the air. A challenge that nobody expected. No? Alpha Prime. Theron's voice drops to a dangerous register that makes several wolves take involuntary steps backward. You dare contradict me? Here? Now? I claim my right as heir. Kaelen says, his voice steady and clear. The right to choose my honor guard without interference. From anyone. The tension between father and son crackles like lightning about to strike. I've heard rumors of their conflicts, but seeing it in person is different. Two apex predators facing off while everyone else holds their breath. You would choose that? Theron gestures dismissively in my direction. A mute Omega who can't even perform a basic blessing? Kaelen turns those silver blue eyes back to me, and I see something in them that makes my knees weak. Not pity, not mockery, but a fierce protectiveness that makes no sense. We've never spoken. I'm nobody to him. I would choose, Kaelen says slowly, deliberately, an Omega who survived what would have broken others, who learned to heal without words when words were all she had, who stands here, year after year, enduring mockery that would send stronger wolves running because she refuses to let shame define her. My heart stops. How does he know about my healing work? How does he know anything about me? You're making a fool of yourself, Theron snarls, and of our bloodline. Choose a proper Omega, one who can actually contribute to power. She contributes more than you know, Kaelen interrupts, an offense that sends gasps through the crowd. No one interrupts the Alpha Prime. Last winter, when the fever struck our youth, who do you think prepared the remedy that saved them? When our border guards return injured and refuse to burden the pack healers, who do you think treats them in secret? I stare at him in shock. Those border guards swore they'd tell no one. I helped them because they were hurt, because they were too proud to admit weakness, but too desperate to refuse help from even a cursed Omega. Lyralei. Kaelen says my name like it matters, like it's something precious. She saves lives in the shadows, while others perform pretty tricks in the light. Vera laughs, sharp and disbelieving. You can't be serious, she's broken, cursed, the moon goddess herself. The moon goddess. Kaelen's voice cuts through hers like a blade through silk, doesn't curse children for grieving their dead brothers. The grounds fall silent. The shame that's been my constant companion for 7 years suddenly feels less like truth and more like a lie I've been told so many times I believed it. She cannot sing the blessing. Theron states coldly. An honor guard must be able to perform the protection rituals. It's tradition. It's law. And the law is wrong, Kaelen says simply, as if overthrowing centuries of tradition is nothing. And I'll prove it. He walks toward me with purposeful strides. The crowd parts, but I can't move. I'm frozen like a rabbit before a wolf, except this wolf is looking at me like I'm something wonderful instead of something wrong. He stops directly in front of me, close enough that I can smell his scent pine and storm rain, and something wild. Close enough that I can see the flecks of darker blue in his silver eyes. Lyralei, he says softly, meant just for me. Will you trust me? I don't understand what Kaelen is asking, but something in his eyes makes me nod. He extends his hand, not commanding, but offering. A choice. After a heartbeat that feels like eternity, I place my trembling fingers in his. The moment our skin touches, something electric passes between us. Not the mate bond that's impossibly rare and would be unmistakable, but something else. Recognition. Like two halves of a conversation finally being spoken aloud. Percent. The blessing songs are powerful. Kaelen addresses the crowd, though his eyes never leave mine, but they're not the only magic our pack possesses. Lyralei, show them what you brought. My eyes widen in confusion, but he squeezes my hand gently and nods toward my satchel, the one I always carry, filled with healing supplies I prepared in case anyone was injured during the ceremony. With shaking hands, I open it, revealing small vials of moonwater essence, crushed silver leaf, and healing stones I've charged under 13 full moons. 6 months ago, Kaelen announces, his voice carrying to every corner of the grounds, our scouts encountered a rabid dire wolf at the eastern border. The creature bit through Garrett's shoulder before we could kill it. The infection should have killed him within days. Garrett, one of the elite guards, steps forward from the crowd. He pulls aside his collar, revealing smooth, unmarked skin, where a fatal wound should be. She saved me, Garrett says simply. Found me delirious with fever in the woods. Didn't say a word, couldn't, but she held me down and poured something down my throat that burned like liquid moonlight. Stayed with me for 3 days and nights while the infection fought her cure. Never left, even when I thrashed and snarled more beast than man. Infection every 3 tenchly in Calorays. Other wolves begin stepping forward. A female warrior shows where her severed tendon was reconnected with precision no pack healer had managed. An elder displays his hands, once twisted with bone rot, now flexible and strong. One by one, My secret patients reveal themselves dozens of wolves I've helped in hidden moments, all sworn to secrecy because accepting help from the cursed Omega was shameful. Words have power, Kaelen says, his voice rising with conviction. But so does action, so does sacrifice, so does choosing to heal those who mock you, simply because healing is who you are. He turns to face his father, and the challenge in his stance is unmistakable. I choose Lyralei as my honor guard. She's already proven her protection. She's been guarding this pack for years, asking nothing in return, not even recognition. This is unprecedented, Theron growls. An honor guard who cannot speak the protection oaths, who cannot sing the binding rituals. Then we'll create new traditions, Kaelen responds. Or have we become so rigid that we'd rather lose a healer of her caliber than adapt our precious ceremonies? The crowd murmurs, uncertain. Change doesn't come easily to our kind. But I see something shifting in their faces. Doubt where there was once certainty. Consideration where there was once dismissal. Vera pushes forward, her face twisted with fury. This is ridiculous. She's nothing. A mistake that should have been cast out years ago. The sound that comes from Kaelen's throat is pure alpha command, though he won't inherit that full power until his father steps down. Still, it's enough to make Vera stumble backward, her face paling. Speak of her like that again, he says quietly, dangerously, and you'll find out exactly how much nothing matters to me. The threat in his voice is unmistakable. Vera backs away, but her eyes promise this isn't over. Kaelen keeps hold of my hand as he leads me to the center of the ceremonial grounds. My heart pounds so hard I'm certain everyone can hear it. The space that's always been forbidden to me now opens at his insistence. There's something else, he says, loud enough for all to hear. Something I discovered in the old texts, in the histories most have forgotten. Before blessing songs, before our voices became our primary magic, our ancestors had another way. He reaches into his coat and pulls out an ancient leather journal, its pages yellowed with age. The silent guardians, Omegas who spoke through action, through intent, through the pure force of will. They were considered the strongest of all, because their magic didn't need sound, it came straight from the soul. My breath catches. I've never heard these stories. No one has ever suggested that silence could be anything but weakness. Lyralei. He turns to me, and his voice gentles. You've been speaking all along. Pasa. Every healing, every saved life, every moment you chose kindness over bitterness, that was your voice. Now, let them see it. He guides me to place my hands on the ancient heartwood tree that towers above the ceremony. The moment my palms touch the bark, I feel it a thrumming energy that matches my heartbeat. Without thinking, I close my eyes and let everything I've held inside flow out through my hands. My grief for Tam, but also my love for him. The loneliness of 7 years of silence, but also the peace I found in healing. The shame I've carried, but also the quiet pride in every life I've saved. All of it pours into the tree, and something impossible happens. The heartwood begins to glow. Not with the showy light of a blessing song, but with something deeper, older, a warm, golden radiance that spreads from where I touch it, flowing up through every branch, every leaf. The light pulses with my heartbeat, and I realize with stunning clarity this is my voice. Not words, not songs, but pure intention made manifest. The gathering stands in stunned silence. Even Alpha Prime Theron looks shaken. The heartwood hasn't glowed like this in generations. Not since the last silent guardian died over a century ago. She's speaking. An elder whispers in awe. Mother Moon, preserve us. The girl is speaking. Tears stream down my face as 7 years of enforced worthlessness crumbles away. I'm not broken. I'm not cursed. I'm just different. And different isn't less than, it's simply other than. Kaelen's hand settles on my shoulder, warm and steady. Show them the rest, he murmurs. Show them what you showed me last winter. Last winter. I turn to look at him in confusion, but his eyes hold secrets I don't understand yet. Still connected to the heartwood, I let my deepest truth flow out, the memory I've shared with no one. The moment after Tam died, when my scream shattered windows and called the pack. But also what happened next, what I've never admitted even to myself. In that moment of pure grief, I felt every living thing within miles. Every wolf, every tree, every blade of grass. I felt their life force, their pain, their joy. I felt the entire interconnected web of existence, and in response to my pain, they grieved with me. The heartwood's glow intensifies, and suddenly everyone in the gathering gasps as one. They feel it too, that connection, that web of life that binds us all. For just a moment, through me, they experience what I experienced. Unity beyond words, understanding beyond language, process. A voice walker, Elder Mirren breathes, naming something I've never heard of. She's not mute, she's evolved beyond our limited understanding of voice. She speaks directly to the life force itself. The moment shatters as Alpha Prime Theron slams his fist against the platform, the sound echoing like thunder. Enough of this mysticism. Evolution? Voice walkers? These are fairy tales, not pack law. The heartwood's glow fades as I pull my hands away. Suddenly exhausted, Kaelen steadies me, his arms sliding around my waist with casual possessiveness that sends whispers through the crowd. Father. Kaelen's voice carries a warning. You saw what everyone saw. You felt it. Don't let pride blind you to what I saw. Theron interrupts, his voice ice cold. Was my heir being manipulated by a damaged Omega's party tricks? One light show doesn't erase 7 years of silence. It doesn't make her suitable to guard the future Alpha Prime. Then test her. A new voice calls out. Kieran Volkov, Alpha of the Eastern Packs, steps forward. He's younger than Theron, ambitious, and his eyes gleam with opportunity. If there's doubt about the Omega's worthiness, let her prove herself. The old way. My blood runs cold. The old way, trial by combat. An archaic tradition where an Omega must face a challenger to prove their right to a position. It hasn't been invoked in decades because it's barbaric, often fatal for the Omega. Don't be ridiculous, Kaelen snarls, but his father's eyes light with cruel interest. No, Kieran makes a point, Theron says slowly. If she's truly worthy to be an honor guard, she should be able to defend herself. After all, how can she protect my son if she can't even protect herself? No, she's a healer, not a warrior. Kaelen protests, his arm tightening around me. Then perhaps she's not suitable after all. Theron replies smoothly. Unless you're afraid your chosen Omega can't handle a simple challenge, it's a trap, perfectly laid. If Kaelen refuses, it proves I'm weak. If he accepts, I'll likely be destroyed in combat. Either way, Theron gets what he wants, me removed from his son's life. I'll be her champion, Kaelen declares immediately. I'll fight in her place. No. The word escapes me in barely a whisper, but it's the first sound I've made in 7 years. Everyone freezes. My throat burns like I've swallowed glass, but I force out more words, each one scraping like claws. My, fight. Fight. Kaelen stares at me in shock. Lyralei, you don't have to. I press my fingers to his lips, silencing him. If I'm going to be his honor guard, I won't start by hiding behind him. My voice is broken, barely functional, but it's mine. Choose. Challenger. I rasp, looking directly at Theron. The Alpha Prime's smile is cold as winter. Vera Blackmore. Let's see if the moon-cursed mute can stand against a true Omega. Vera steps forward eagerly, her beautiful face twisted with malicious joy. Finally, I've waited years to put you in your place, Kerr. No. The crowd forms a circle, ancient tradition demanding space for the challenge. Kaelen refuses to leave my side until the last moment. You don't have to prove anything, he says urgently. Not to them, not to anyone. I touch his face gently, marveling that I'm allowed this intimacy. 2. Me, I whisper. Prove to me. Understanding dawns in his eyes. This isn't about them, it's about me, finally fighting back after 7 years of accepting their cruelty. As Vera and I face each other in the circle, she begins her blessing song, a vicious melody designed to disorient and weaken. The notes slam into me like physical blows, making my vision blur and my knees buckle. Look at you, she croons between verses, still that pathetic little girl who let her brother die. You think the heir's protection changes what you are? You're nothing. You've always been nothing. Vera's song intensifies, and I feel my consciousness fragmenting under its assault. Blood trickles from my nose as her voice weaponizes into something designed to shatter minds. Around us, several younger wolves cover their ears, but within the challenge circle, I have no escape. They found your brother's body, Vera hisses, her song weaving the words into weapons, calling for his big sister who was too weak to save him. Lyra! Lyra! He cried, but Lyra was a coward. Something snaps inside me. Not breaks, releases. The scream that's been trapped in my throat for 7 years erupts outward, but it's not sound, it's pure force. It slams into Vera like a physical wall, lifting her off her feet and hurling her backward. She hits the ground hard, her blessing song cutting off abruptly. But I don't stop there. All the words I've swallowed, all the defenses I couldn't speak, all the grief and rage and pain I've compressed into silence. It all pours out in a visible wave of energy. The ground cracks beneath my feet. The air itself seems to ripple and bend. Vera scrambles to her feet, genuine fear replacing her smugness. She tries to restart her song, but my silence has weight now, presence. It fills the space between us, making her voice sound thin and meaningless. I advance on her, and she backs away. No one has ever seen an Omega fight like this without songs, without traditional magic. Just raw, unleashed emotion, given form. Monster, Vera gasps. You're not an Omega, you're a monster. The word should hurt. Instead, it liberates me. Yes, maybe I am a monster. A monster born from tragedy, shaped by isolation, forged in the fires of constant humiliation. But I'm a monster who saved lives. A monster who chose healing over hurting. A monster who survived. Vera makes one last desperate attack, lunging at me physically when her voice fails. I catch her wrist, and through that touch, I do what I did with the Heartwood. I show her everything. Every patient I've healed. Every life I've saved. Every moment. I chose kindness when cruelty would have been easier. But I also show her Tam, my bright, beautiful brother, his laugh, his tiny hands in mine, the light leaving his eyes, the weight of his body, the grass stained with his blood. Vera collapses to her knees, sobbing. I'm sorry. Moon Goddess, I'm sorry. I never understood. Enough. Alpha Prime. Theron roars. The challenge is concluded. Vera has yielded. But something's wrong. The power I released isn't returning. It's spreading, reaching beyond the circle, touching every wolf present. They're all feeling what I felt, seeing what I saw. The shared grief brings some to tears. Others fall to their knees. Kaelen reaches me first, pulling me against him as I sway. Lyralei, you need to pull it back. You're projecting too much. But I don't know how. This voice I've found isn't words, it's everything. And now that it's free, I can't contain it. Get her out of here, Theron commands. She's losing control. She'll drive the entire pack mad with grief. She's not losing control, Elder Mirren interjects, approaching slowly. She's awakening. This is what voice walkers do. They connect us all, whether we want it or not. But without training, without guidance. She looks at me with ancient eyes. Child, you're going to burn yourself out. You need to leave. Tonight, go to the sacred pools in the northern wastes. Learn to master this, or it will consume you, Kaelen. She goes nowhere. Kaelen snarls. But I see the truth in Mirren's eyes. I'm dangerous now. Not intentionally, but my power is raw, untrained. I could hurt people without meaning to. Must go. I force out, my throat feeling like shredded meat. Then I'm going with you, Kaelen says immediately. No. Theron's voice is final. You have duties here. The pack needs stability after this. Display. She'll go alone, or not at all. I leave that very night, taking only what I can carry. Kaelen argues with his father for hours, their shouting echoing across the packlands, but Theron won't budge. The Alpha Prime even posts guards to ensure his heir doesn't follow me. The northern wastes are 3 days' journey, a barren stretch of land where the old powers still linger. Elder Mirren gives me a map and a warning. The sacred pools will either teach you to master your gift or drown you in it. Many voice walkers never return. No more stories, I will tar taking the second. Many voice walkers never return. On my second night of travel, I make camp in a small cave, exhausted and heartsick. That's when I hear them voices carried on the wind, not meant for my ears. The boy is more stubborn than expected. It's Kieran Volkov, the Eastern Pack Alpha. He's threatening to renounce his position if Theron doesn't let him follow her. Let him threaten. Another voice. Theron himself. Once she's gone, really gone, he'll come to his senses. The sacred pools haven't been kind to anyone in decades. The last 3 wolves who sought them came back mad or didn't come back at all. My blood turns to ice as I realize what I'm hearing. They're not far from my hiding spot, meeting in secret. You planned this, Kieran continues. The challenge, Vera's attack, even Mirren's suggestion to send her away. Clever. The girl's power is real, Theron admits. I felt it. But that makes her more dangerous, not less. A voice walker could undermine traditional authority. If Omegas realize they don't need blessing songs to have power, if they discover their silence can be stronger than voice, the entire structure of our society crumbles. And your son? My son is young, foolish, and thinks he's in love. He'll forget her once she's gone. I've already arranged for the Southern Pack to send their finest Omegas for the winter gathering. One of them will catch his eye. What if she survives the pools? What if she comes back stronger? There's a pause, then Theron's voice drops to something darker. Then we'll handle it. Accidents happen in the wastes. Rogues, harsh weather, unstable magic. No one would question it. They're planning to kill me if I survive. My hands shake as I press deeper into the cave's shadows. The boy won't forgive you if he finds out, Kieran warns. He won't find out. And even if he suspects, what proof would he have? I'm trying to protect our way of life, our traditions. Sometimes that requires difficult choices. And the others who've awakened? Mirren mentioned voice walkers, plural. Fairy tales and ancient history. The girl is an anomaly, nothing more. Once she's gone, we can return to the natural order. Their footsteps fade, but their words echo in my mind. This was never about protecting Kaelen or the pack. It's about power, control, maintaining a system where alphas rule and omegas submit. My very existence threatens that. I spend the rest of the night awake, reconsidering everything. Should I run? Disappear entirely? But then I think of Kaelen's eyes, the way he stood against his own father for me. I think of the other omegas, trapped in silence of a different kind, believing their only worth comes from pretty songs and submission. By dawn, my decision is made. I'll go to the sacred pools, but not to disappear. I'll master this power, and then I'll return. Not for vengeance, but for truth, for change. The journey becomes harder as I near the wastes. The land grows twisted, scarred by ancient magic wars. Trees grow backward, their roots reaching skyward. Water flows uphill. The very air tastes of power and madness. On the third night, I find them the sacred pools. 7 pools of water that reflect no light, arranged in a perfect circle. The moment I approach, I feel it a pull, like recognition. Welcome, voice walker. The words appear in my mind, not heard but known. You've come to remember what was forgotten. The sacred pools are nothing like the legends claimed. Each pool contains not water, but liquefied moonlight, dangerous and beautiful. The moment I step into the circle they create, visions assault me, not my memories, but those of voice walkers throughout history. I see them clearly now, omegas who transcended the limitations others placed on them. They didn't sing, they spoke directly to the life force of the world. They were healers, prophets, and warriors of a different kind. They were feared because they proved that power doesn't follow the rules alphas created. But I also see why they disappeared. The last great voice walker, Senna Moonborn, was murdered by a coalition of alpha primes who feared her influence. They destroyed the records, rewrote history, turned voice walking into a myth. The blessing songs were instituted afterward, a way to control omega power, to make it pretty and performative, rather than primal and transformative. For 3 days and nights, I remain in the circle, learning to channel the raw force inside me. The pools teach through pain every lesson carved into my bones. I learn to speak without sound, to heal without touch, to project not just emotion but understanding. Most importantly, I learn control. On the 4th day, unexpected visitors arrive. I told you she'd be here, Garrett says, the guard whose life I saved from rabid infection. With him are 6 others wolves I've healed, including 2 omegas, whose blessing songs never quite measured up to pack standards. What are you doing here? I whisper, my voice still rough but growing stronger. Bearing witness, one of the omegas, Thessa, says firmly, Theron sent us to confirm your death or madness. We're going to report exactly what we see that your mastering powers the Alpha Prime fears, because they prove his worldview wrong. You'll be exiled, I protest. Maybe, Garrett shrugs, but some things are worth the risk. You saved my life, asking nothing in return. The least I can do is ensure everyone knows you survived. They make camp at the edge of the wastes, close enough to watch but far enough to avoid the pool's effects. Their presence gives me strength for the final trial submersion. Each voice walker must enter the central pool, the darkest one, and face their deepest truth. Most never emerge. I wade in slowly, the liquid moonlight cold enough to burn. The moment it covers my head, I'm no longer in the pool. I'm in that root cellar again, holding Tam. But this time, I see what I couldn't before. Tam wasn't afraid when he died. His last word, my name, wasn't accusation. It was love. He was calling for me because I was his safe place, his protector, even in death. You didn't fail me, his voice whispers, though I know it's my own truth speaking. You loved me. That's all I needed. The grief doesn't disappear, but it transforms, from a weight that drowns to a current that carries. I emerge from the pool gasping, crying, but whole in a way I haven't been since that night. By the moon, Thessa breathes. Look at her. I don't understand until I see my reflection in the pool's surface. My eyes now hold flecks of silver, like captured moonlight. My skin bears faint markings, not scars, but patterns that seem to shift and move, telling stories without words. I am marked as what I am. Voice walker, bridge between silence and song. We need to go back, I say. And my voice is clear, strong, though I know I'll always choose silence as often as speech. Theron and Kieran are planning something. The winter gathering, they want to force Kaelen to choose a new Omega. Garrett's expression darkens. The prince has been fighting his father every day since you left. He's threatened to challenge him for leadership if Theron doesn't lift your exile. A challenge between father and son would tear the pack apart. I won't let that happen, not for me. Not when there's another way. Then we arrive, before the gathering. I decide. And I'll show them what a voice walker really is. Not a threat to their power, an evolution of it. The journey back takes 2 days. As we near Pack lands, more wolves join us. Word has spread through Garrett, through the Omegas, through the network of those I've healed. They want to see what I've become. We arrive as the winter gathering begins, the first snow falling like a blessing or a curse. The great pavilion is decorated with ice crystals and silver banners, and Omegas from 3 neighboring packs have come to compete for Kaelen's attention. I don't enter through the main gates. Instead, I walk through the assembled crowd, my witnesses flanking me. Whispers follow in my wake. The mute Omega returns. The cursed one lives. Look at her eyes. Look at her marks. The pavilion falls silent as I approach. On the raised platform, Theron sits rigid on his throne, his face cycling through shock, rage, and something that might be fear. Beside him, Kaelen rises so quickly his chair topples. Lyralei. My name on his lips sounds like a prayer answered. I don't run to him, though every cell in my body wants to. Instead, I walk steadily forward until I stand in the center of the pavilion, where Omegas perform their blessing songs. You were exiled, Theron says, recovering his composure. Your presence here is... I was sent to master my gift. I was sent to master my gift. I interrupt, my voice carrying despite its softness. I've done so. Now I return to claim my position as honor guard to Prince Kaelen. Impossible. You abandoned your post. Another will be chosen tonight. Then let them try, I say simply. Any Omega who wishes to challenge my claim is welcome. 3 Omegas step forward, immediately beautiful, accomplished singers from the southern pack. Their songs begin in harmony, a coordinated attack designed to overwhelm. But I don't fight them. Instead, I open my arms wide and let my power flow not as weapon but as revelation. I show the entire gathering what the sacred pools showed me, the true history of voice walkers, the deliberate suppression of our gifts, the fear that drives alphas to cage omega power in pretty songs. The singing omegas falter, their voices dying as they see what I see. One of them, the youngest, actually gasps and says, "They lied to us, about everything." "Enough of this heresy," Theron roars, rising from his throne. Guards remove her. But Garrett and his unit step forward, placing themselves between me and any who would approach. "With respect, Alpha Prime," Shunned formally, "we stand as witnesses to her truth. More wolves move my saved patience, the overlooked omegas, even some betas who've grown tired of the rigid hierarchy. They form a protective circle around me." "You would divide the pack?" Theron snarls at me. "You would bring civil war?" "No," I say firmly. "I would unite it, not through force or tradition, but through understanding." I extend my power again, gentler this time, creating connections between every wolf present. For a moment, they all feel what each other feels: the alpha's responsibility, the omega's desire for respect, the beta's struggle for recognition. The artificial barriers between ranks dissolve in the face of shared experience. This is what voice walkers were meant to do: power. I explain. Not rule, not overthrow, but connect. To remind us that we're one pack, not separate castes. Kaelen steps down from the platform, moving through the crowd toward me. His father shouts for him to stop, but he doesn't even pause. When he reaches me, he drops to one knee, an alpha heir kneeling before an omega. The gesture sends shockwaves through the gathering. "Lyralei," he says, loud enough for all to hear. "I've spent every day since you left, trying to understand what you awakened in me that night at the ceremony. Now I know." He looks up at me with those silver blue eyes. "You showed me that true strength isn't about dominance. It's about the courage to be vulnerable, to stand for others, to choose compassion over control." He pulls something from his pocket, a silver cord woven with moon-blessed thread, the traditional honor guard bond. "Will you accept this position? Not because I choose you, but because you've already chosen us, all of us, every time you healed without thanks, every time you faced mockery with dignity, every time you refused to let bitterness poison your gift." Tears stream down my face as I take the cord. But before I can speak, Theron's voice cuts through the moment. "If you accept that, you bind yourself to a prince who will never be Alpha Prime. Power. I'll disinherit him before I let him pollute our bloodline with—" "With what, father?" Kaelen rises, turning to face Theron. "With change? With growth? With the recognition that our way isn't the only way?" Most werewolf stories begin with power and dominance. The tension between father and son stretches to a breaking point. The entire gathering holds its breath, waiting to see if blood will spill on sacred ground. But I step between them, placing a hand on Kaelen's arm. "There's another way," I say, my voice carrying the certainty the pools gave me. "Alpha Prime Theron, you fear the loss of tradition, the chaos of change. I understand, but look closer. Power. I project not words but images into the air, where everyone can see them, visions from the sacred pools, but selected carefully. I show the ancient past, when voice walkers and alphas ruled together, each balancing the other. The packs were stronger then, united not by hierarchy but by harmony. We don't have to choose between old and new," I continue. "We can honor both, blessing songs and voice walking, traditional strength and evolved understanding. Your son doesn't seek to destroy what you've built. He seeks to expand it." Theron watches the visions, his jaw clenched. I see the moment something shifts in his eyes, not full acceptance, but the first crack in his certainty. "And if I refuse?" he asks quietly. Powers. Then you'll rule over a divided pack. Elder Mirren speaks up, stepping forward. Because what Lyralei has awakened can't be silenced again. The Omegas have seen what they could be. The Betas have felt what equality tastes like. Even your Alphas question whether dominance is the same as leadership. She's right. I can feel it in the crowd, a fundamental shift that goes beyond one confrontation. The old ways are already crumbling, whether Theron admits it or not. The Alpha Prime looks at his son, at me, at the crowd surrounding us. For a long moment, he says nothing. Then, to everyone's shock, he laughs a bitter, tired sound. Perhaps I am old, he admits. Perhaps my fear of change has made me cruel. He looks directly at me. You saved my son in ways I'm only beginning to understand. When I found him after that winter patrol last year, he was different, more thoughtful, more complete. My eyes widen. Kaelen's words from earlier suddenly make sense. I was the wolf, Kaelen says softly, looking at me. Last winter, injured and dying in the forest. You found me, healed me, sang lullabies to what you thought was just a wounded animal. I woke before dawn and left before you could see my human form, but I never forgot. The silent Omega who sang when she thought no one was listening. The memory floods back, a massive black wolf I'd found and tended, whispering the songs Tam used to love. Thinking I was alone. You knew. I breathe. All along, you knew I wasn't truly mute. I knew you were careful with your voice, that you'd been hurt so deeply you chose silence. But I also knew that silence was just another form of speaking, one most of us are too loud to hear. Theron watches this exchange, and something in his expression softens not completely, but enough. I'm not stepping down, he says firmly, but perhaps it's time for the council to include new voices. A voice walker advisor, Omega representatives. Change, but controlled change. It's not everything, but it's a beginning. Then I accept, I say, tying the silver cord around my wrist, officially becoming Kaelen's honor guard. But know that my loyalty is not just to him, but to all who need healing, all who deserve to be heard, whether they have voices or not. The crowd erupts not in mockery like that first ceremony, but in celebration. Omegas embrace, Betas cheer, and even some Alphas nod approval. The rigid structure hasn't shattered, but it's begun to bend, to evolve. Later, as the celebration continues around us, Kaelen pulls me aside to a quiet alcove, the same alcove where I once hid from the world. You came back, he says softly, his hands framing my face. When you had every reason to disappear, you came back. You stood for me, I reply, my voice stronger now but still choosing whisper for this moment. When you had every reason not to, you saw me. He kisses me then, soft and sweet and full of promise. Not the kiss of an alpha claiming an omega, but of two souls recognizing each other across the divide of rank and tradition. When we part, I notice the celebration has quieted. The crowd has formed a circle around us, but not to mock or judge. They're bearing witness to something new, a future where an omega can be powerful without being loud, where an alpha can be strong without being cruel, where love transcends the boundaries others draw. Vera approaches, hesitant and humble. Lyralei, I owe you more than an apology. I owe you a debt. You showed me my own cruelty, but also that it's not too late to change. I study her for a moment, then extend my hand. Then help me teach others. Your blessing song is powerful. Imagine what you could do if you used it to heal instead of hurt. She takes my hand, tears in her eyes. I'd like that. The change won't be easy or quick. There will be resistance, setbacks, probably danger. But for the first time in 7 years, I'm not afraid. Powers. Because I've found my voice not in words or songs, but in the space between them, where truth lives. And with Kaelen beside me, with allies gathering, with the old ways evolving into something better, I know we'll reshape this world. One healing at a time, one connection at a time, one voice spoken or silent at a time. The mute Omega they mocked is gone. In her place stands a voice walker, an honor guard, a bridge between worlds. I am Lyralei, and I am finally, truly, home.